Welcome back to day 5 on Transform Evolve, where we are working to transform an area of your life in 7 days. As I mentioned in the previous videos, we've worked through many steps. So everything is evolutionary, everything builds upon itself, so please make sure that you're following in order and not skipping ahead. So if that's the case, please pause this video and revisit the videos where you left off, and then come to this video in the order that we've recorded them in. So now we're talking about SMART goal. I want to visit just a little bit before we jump into putting this out into the future. Your SMART goal needs to be simple, specific, meaningful, measurable, actually able to happen, realistic, and timed. So you've been working on this in the previous day, and we're going to revisit this again, and I ask you to please pause the video and make sure that you're complete with this process before you continue on when we get to the point of putting this out into the future. So remember, your SMART goal needs to be coming out of the avatar. Otherwise, why would you do a SMART goal that's like not involving becoming your avatar, right? So the avatar is who you want to be. The aim is what you need to be doing in order to be what you want to be. And the SMART goal feeds into the avatar because it's part of that process. And we can give some specifics, but whatever area of life you're working on, you've already developed your avatar. Just make sure that SMART goal is part of the avatar. It feeds into that in some way, shape, or form. Okay, so the SMART goal needs to be simple and specific. So typically it's a paragraph format, and you start it by saying it is now, because you want to be present tense, right? Like you've already achieved this. So you would say it is now, and you put a date. So whatever your SMART goal is pertaining to, make sure the date makes sense. We talked a little bit in the previous video about trying to become an Air Force pilot or becoming a doctor of medicine in some specialty. If you say you're going to do that in 3 months, well, make sure that that's actually able to happen. I don't want to get too much in those weeds. We talked a lot about it in the last video. So if you want to revisit that, please go back to the last video. You'll see that there. So whatever date you choose, just make sure it's actually able to happen and it's realistic. Now on the SMART goal, when you want to be simple and specific, just make it a statement. It is now XYZ date, and I am XYZ. Meaning if you're trying to achieve some status, some objective, if you're working in, like I think we used relationships as another example. If you're working in relationships, it is now XYZ date, and I am in a most loving and romantic relationship with my significant other. You see the way that this thing is flowing, but it's a simple, specific statement. And you want to make sure that it's meaningful, and that goes back to, does it fit with your avatar, who you're trying to become? Okay, so I don't think we have much more to talk about the SMART goal. Just know that the SMART goal is something that we're working towards, and we're going to celebrate when we are somewhere around 90% of reaching that goal. And then we create a new goal. And I think that was something that I should be a little more specific on, is the SMART goal feeds into the avatar. And I mentioned in the last video that the SMART goal is like taking steps on a ladder, or one step up the stairs at a time to achieve your ultimate goal of your avatar in 10 years. But we don't want to really break it down into 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. It's more general, like I'm trying to become this person, so this is what I need to set my goal for in order to become this person. But there's going to be multiple SMART goals along the way to achieve your avatar. So don't think it all has to be in one SMART goal. I hope that's clear. I was kind of thinking that might be a fuzzy point for some people. So just make sure that it's simple and specific, it's meaningful to you, it's measurable, it's realistic, and it's timed. Okay, so I think we're good. Pause the video if you need to, revisit everything. And I want you, before you pause the video and revisit, I want you to start to develop another picture in your mind, just like we did yesterday. But this time it's going to be who you are and where you are when this specific SMART goal is achieved. So read back through your SMART goal now and develop a picture in your mind of when you achieved this and when you want to have this achieved by. Because I obviously won't know that date. So I'm just going to say sometime in the future, wherever is perfect for you. So just know in your mind, whatever date you wrote, just have that mentally there to where your unconscious mind will take you out to somewhere around that date to lock that in. All right, pause the video, revisit the content, and we'll be right back. So you've revisited your SMART goal, everything is locked in, ready to go. You have a picture in your mind now of who you are and where you are when you've achieved this SMART goal. And you also know the date with which you're trying to achieve this. Okay, so once again, in a safe, calm environment, not driving, seated, place your hands on your knees and just take some deep breaths with your eyes closed. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. One more. In through the nose, and out through the mouth. Eyes remaining closed, breathing normal. I'd like for you now to call to your memory this picture of you fully achieving your SMART goal. See where you are and what you're doing when you realize that your SMART goal has been achieved. And now I'd like for you to step into this picture so you're looking through your own eyes now. Trusting your unconscious mind knows exactly what to do. This is not a conscious process, this is an unconscious process. Just relax. Looking through your own eyes, see what you see, hear what you hear, feel what you feel, of you achieving your SMART goal now. Where are you? What are you wearing? What are you doing? And now instruct your unconscious mind to increase all of the submodalities now to make it the most real for you. Make it brighter, more focused, sharper, contrast, more colorful, real life colors, bigger, nearer to you. Make it a movie, panoramic. Make it real life. Any feelings you feel, turn the intensity up to a 10. Any sounds you hear, turn the intensity up to a 10. Make it bigger, brighter, more focused, nearer to you, movie, life size, panoramic, brighter, more colorful, sharper, focused. Increase all of the submodalities. And now lock it in. And instruct your unconscious mind now as you step out of this image. Breathe energy into this image. 5 deep breaths. Blowing all of your energy into this image, energizing it for the purpose of making this all come to reality. In through the nose. In through the nose. In through the nose. In through the nose. And one more. In through the nose. Now instruct your unconscious mind to take this image and float out on your timeline to the right date that you have assigned for this goal to come true, wherever is perfect on your timeline. And when you're there, instruct your unconscious mind to allow this image to float down into the timeline and lock into place. And as this happens, see every event from now until this moment in time realign, recalibrate every decision you've made, recalibrate to the new decision, to where all of this happens exactly as it's needed to make this moment come to fruition. And see all the energy from now to this present moment realign itself to the positive outcome of your SMART goal. And see all of this energy and these decisions being made, see it all extending out into the future indefinitely from this moment in time. Enjoy the feeling that you feel of this accomplishment. Lock all of this in place and float back on your timeline till now and come back in the room. Hope you guys are enjoying this process. So thank you so much for trusting this process and coming along with me as I help you all achieve your amazing outcomes in this area of your life. So now that your SMART goal is out in your future, we need to talk a moment about action steps. So the assignment after this video will be to develop several action steps that you need to do in order to achieve your SMART goal. You see how all of this is layered? Pretty cool. So when you look at your SMART goal, we made it simple and specific, we made it meaningful and measurable, and realistic, achievable, and timed. So your action steps will naturally be derived from your SMART goal. And because it's measurable, you should be able to have definitive steps to get you to where you're going. Let's use an easy example of, I want to be a pilot. Well, if you have no aviation experience, that's going to be a pretty big important item, right? So an action step could be obtain aviation experience. Now that's pretty high level. That could be further divided into sub-action steps of do research on what it takes to get a pilot's license. What kind of pilot license are out there? What license do I need in order to do what I want to do? What missions am I trying to accomplish in aviation? Let's use the example of becoming a doctor of some specialty in medicine. Well, there you want to take some action steps like research what school I want to go to, research the financial obligations, research where my resources may come from, and what type of discipline am I going to actually go into if you don't know that already. So there are several action steps that you can start determining in order to achieve your goal. And just like you wouldn't, I'm trying to think of a good example, you wouldn't mop the floor before you sweep it, at least I hope, because if you mop before you sweep, you're going to be mopping dirt, right? There's certain steps that have to happen first. So now I'm not fully aware at this moment what you're working on. We're not doing any one-on-one coaching here, which we can do, but for the purposes here, this webinar, we have to keep it more broad for everyone watching. So I'm trying to give a lot of examples to help you understand the process. If you're in relationships, let's say, you're working in that area of life, and your goal is to have a loving, satisfying, romantic relationship, well, what is an important part of that is having a significant other, right? And if you're not going out to meet people, then that might be a considerable action step for you to put in your action steps. If your goal is to meet someone, you got to get out there to meet them, right? So that's a critical item. So you can kind of look at it like that. What are the critical paths that I have to go on to achieve this goal? Think about construction, building a house. You can't really build a house without a blueprint. You can't really build a house unless you have a piece of land. And you don't really want to draw the blueprint until you know the size of the piece of land you're building on and what the terrain on the land may be. And if you pick out the land, you're going to have certain site prep you're going to have to worry about. So that's yet another example of how there is a critical path that must be followed to achieve the goal. If your area is health and fitness. In some aspects, this might be a little easier for people because it's easily measured, right? If you're looking at blood tests, you can measure that. If you're looking at weight loss, you can measure that. If you're looking at muscle gain or body fat percentages, all of those can be very easily measured and tracked. So in some respects, that's a little more easy to see the critical path, right? If I'm trying to achieve a certain set of metrics on my body, then I can plug that in and look at science to say, well, this is realistic, right? It's realistic for me to lose 1.5% body fat over a month. That's very realistic, right? So depending on the area of life and what your SMART goal is, you need to look at that from a holistic level and start to see what are the critical path action steps that I need to do in order to achieve this SMART goal. So spend this next day or so on developing your action steps. When we come back in the next video, we will discuss these action steps a little bit further and start to develop tasking to put this out and make this happen for you. All right, until next time, thank you guys so much. I've enjoyed working with you guys to this point. Look forward to the next video.